What's good, everybody? Welcome back. Up next is sort of an interesting one. It's not one of the more traditional reviews that we do. It's actually a review of an old car, a 1964 Corvette Stingray, of all things. It originally came with a 427, which is a huge V8 engine, and a 4-speed manual transmission that made 300 horsepower, which back in its day was a lot of horsepower. Interesting. So this is Tony Hawk's personal car, and he had it converted to an electric propulsion system. So it no longer has the V8, it no longer has the manual transmission. It has an electric motor out back from a Tesla Model S that makes roughly 300 horsepower is what he is saying. And it has a battery pack up front where the engine used to be. So one of the really interesting things about this is, first off, some people are very passionate about these old cars, particularly these old valuable cars like the Corvette, and so old Porsche 911s as well. And they feel so passionately about it, and they call them purists, right? Because they want the car to remain as it was when it was made. So when somebody goes and does this with one of these cult classic cars, these cars that are just that people love for what they are and what they represent. When somebody goes through an exercise like this, sometimes those purists get really upset because they feel like you've ruined the car. So an interesting thing here, Tony Hawk had a company here in California called EV West. They sell electric motors and battery systems. But what they also do is they offer a service where they'll do this for customers, where they'll convert a gasoline car to an electric powertrain. And that's what Tony Hawk had them do over the last couple of years. One of the really interesting things, though, with this company, EV West, is that they did not modify the Corvette. They didn't cut anything. They didn't weld anything. It's all bolt in, bolt out. So Tony Hawk still has the original engine and transmission and all the other stuff that goes along with it. He still has it in a garage somewhere. And at some point in the future, if he wanted to convert the car back from its the electric system to the gasoline original engine, he could do that. So that's a really cool thing. And there are a few other companies out there that are doing similar things where they're taking old cars and they're updating them with an electric powertrain. Most of the time it's from the motors from a Tesla, as are the battery cells. And what's cool about most of these companies that are doing it is that they're taking this approach where they don't ruin the car. They don't cut, they don't weld. Everything is reversible, which is a very big deal to maintain the value of these cars. Should someone ever want to sell it, they'll probably be more valuable. This Corvette would probably be more valuable if it was converted back to its original engine and transmission, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one of the really cool things here, is that there's these companies out here that are doing this, that are converting old cool sports cars or old SUVs. They're converting them to electric powertrains. I think that's really cool because you get the awesome style of these old classic cars, but you get the modern performance and the efficiency, and no emissions. You don't burn any fuel with an electric powertrain, and that's really cool. And I really like that. Some people really hate it, and that's fine. But I think it's a really cool way to update one of these old classic cars and give it a new lease on life, a new to bring it to the modern age. And I think that's really, really cool. I would highly recommend. So there's a Jay Leno, met up with Tony Hawk for his show, and there's like a 5 or 6 minute clip that I'll put the link down below. I highly recommend you watch it. Just hear Tony Hawk talk through kind of why he did it, what he's thinking, and then they drive the car as well. And the thing is not slow. I mean, it has 300 horsepower. It doesn't weigh any more than it did when it was a gasoline powered car because that old engine was really heavy. It was made of cast iron. And it's a very cool exercise. And again, it just shows that enthusiast cars take all different shapes and eras as well. Like this car is a 1964. How cool is that? So highly recommend watching the video. There's some articles out there as well. I'll put a link to to some of the better articles about this. But expect to see more of this type of thing with these classic cars that are converted to electric powertrains and battery systems, because there's a lot of benefits to doing it. And the really cool thing is that if the company that does these retrofits or updates, if they take the right approach, it's all reversible. So the car can always go back to how it was originally, which is very important. So I like this. I think more people should be exploring this and should be doing this. There are a few companies out there that are doing it already. And I hope we see more of this moving forward into the future. It's a great way to bring it to make an old car sort of new again, but still have the cool style. So yeah, Tony Hawk, outside of the skateboarding, which you're pretty good at, this is a good call as well. So yeah, check it out. Check out the video down below and let me know what you think. But I personally really like it, but I know that that's a controversial statement. So yeah, let me know. And that's it for Tony Hawk's Corvette.